Welcome back. We're here with the whiskey provisioner at West China Tea. Caleb is here with the Texas Whiskey Geek, and he's going to be bringing in some whiskeys, and we're going to be pairing them with tea, so on. We've already been drinking tea. What kind of tea have you brought out today?
Behold, Dumroy from 2005. This is the pre-fire Lishu Lin tea that is a little bit of a bygone era that survived because it happened to be here in America and not getting burned down in Yunnan with all the rest of his vintage tea. So it's kind of a holdover. And I picked this because you've got something for us that is whiskey-wise is going to be somewhat similar. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're talking about dead tea, dead distilleries, things like that. I had brought this Whitmire's. You can find this on the shelves now, but this distillery no longer exists.
Oh, as of when?
I'm not 100% sure. I went and visited them in 2020 when the whole pandemic was a big thing. I'm like, I got to go support my local distilleries. Got some bottles from them when we were out there, and then a few months later, I couldn't follow them. I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Oh.
So I later found out that they sold. They sold their business, and they got a bunch of money for it. So
Good for them.
yeah. So now Giant out in Houston has possession of the barrels, and maybe a few other distilleries out there. I don't know exactly which, but Giant is now taking their product that they've acquired, and they're putting it out on the shelves. So this is very limited. It's only going to be around until it's gone.
Huh.
But
That's really nice
Yeah.
because I heard the same thing with another distillery. Witherspoon is being held in possession at Giant Texas Distillery in Houston, and they had taken possession of those barrels and are releasing the remaining stock under the original label. Mm-hmm. So that's actually
what they're doing here
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Huh. So this company called Giant, it's like engulfs distilleries that start with W, and then releases their whiskey. It seems like that's their MO. I've got them figured out.
Giant Texas Distillery was formerly known as Gulf Coast Distillery, and they are an interesting company. They're a very large distillery.
Hence
They
the
do
name.
contract distilling for a number of smaller brands. So this is really refreshing for me to hear that this is not big corporate giants trying to take over another business, but they're trying to rescue, and they're giving homage back to the original producer. So
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Rescuing what would have otherwise been lost.
So they're not just releasing what's in the barrels; they're continuing the operation.
No, they're, as far as I understand, I don't know everything, but as far as I understand it, they have just acquired the barrels, and now they're releasing it under their name.
Got it.
So
yeah.
but I think there's a few more barrels in other places too, besides just Giant. So,
Right.
But
yeah.
we may or may not know where those end
Where
up.
everything
Right.
is.
They might not. They won't have the brand on them anymore. Probably.
They may not. Yeah.
Yeah, and they can be using them for blending and putting and releasing aged spirits. If you're a young distillery that doesn't have product or is trying to build up their warehouse, having barrels from another distillery will help you build up your stocks and give you options of other things you can release. So yeah, that's really fortunate and unfortunate at the same time.
Should we taste them side by side?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, what we like to do is we'll drink the tea first, so we can taste the tea, so we can because the whiskey's strong. But then we'll drink some whiskey by itself, and then we'll chase the whiskey with the tea,
Right.
and kind of get like a pairing. Ooh, it's pretty, nice color.
Got a beautiful color on it. Yeah.
Yeah. How old is this?
It's undisclosed.
Undisclosed. So much mystery around this
Yeah.
whiskey. I like that. Well, but you know what? I always say I'm not an age queen. I don't really care how old something is. I care if it's good. And I think that there's also in tea. This is a 2005. People tend to get really hung up on how old something is and kind of really hyper fixate on that, and I think that's counterproductive personally. I'd rather just judge it on its goodness.
I found some really young whiskeys that I really love.
It says right there on the front, 45 months.
45 months. Okay, and that's
don't trust anything I say there.
And this is in Texas, so that's kind of like a long,
almost 4 years. Yeah,
almost
not
4
quite
years.
4 years.
Because what I've learned from this show is that we tend to age whiskey for less time in the barrel in Texas because it's hot, right? And otherwise it just gets crazy.
And it's not just that it's hot. In the hotter temperature ranges between like 70 to 110 degrees, you're getting more interaction happening with the wood in the barrel. So when you're in lower temperatures, there's less interaction happening. So in the winter time, the barrels are fairly dormant. In the summertime, we still have 30 to 40 degree temperature swings between day and night. That's seasonal in Scotland. Like that 30 to 40 degree temperature swing happens seasonally, as opposed to daily.
Extremely. I like that this label was clearly like done on Microsoft Word. I know the names of these fonts, but I like that. You know, I think that there's something to be said about a product that just stands on its own virtues and doesn't have a lot of, like we were talking about earlier, there's not as much emphasis with like the tea. This wrapper, this is just some random wrapper, there's a bunch of other teas that have the same wrapper out there. They don't care about branding in China for tea. And I think it's cool to see something that's like plain white wrapper, no fancy art. If you like it, it's good. If you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't, and whatever.
So did you want to read the statistics? I think it says Texas single malt.
Sure. It is barrel EE79. It is aged 45 months. It's bottle 71 of 90.
90 bottles.
Is 121.62 proof.
Okay.
Distilled by Whitmire Distilling and bottled by Gulf Coast Distillers.
So I'm guessing a 25-gallon barrel.
Yeah.
How big is our barrel, Cory?
Maybe, yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 times.
Because a 53-gallon barrel, I usually see a yield in the 200 range in terms of the number of bottles that you get.
Yeah, but 71 out of 90, that's
it's not a lot of bottles. Cool, beautiful. Cheers.
Cheers.
Very nutty. Getting some nutty notes just on the nose.
I'm getting a little floral note as well.
Nice, savory, like almost like a salty, buttery, like a salted butter kind of thing going on there. Smooth for being as high proof as it is.
Yeah, butter, toffee.
Yeah.
Butter, nut, toffee. Yeah, that's nice. There's a nice lingering sweetness there as well.
Good fall whiskey.
That would be a good fall whiskey.
It feels like fall today, or it did earlier.
Yeah, we had a nice afternoon, nice weekend actually, in terms of the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, except for the ragweed. That ragweed's killing me.
So what are you getting on tasting notes there, Caleb?
Yeah, so at the very end there, I'm getting, like, it kind of dries out the sides of your tongue. So it kind of reminds me of like a metallic flavor. Which is not, I don't think it's a fault, but I think it's a
Foible?
A foible? I don't know.
An eccentricity.
I like it. It's nice. I would drink this.
Yeah, very creamy, smooth. I hate that word, smooth. Can't believe I just said that.
I said it first. You're just humoring me.
Sophisticated, sultry.
Texture, it's smooth-wise texture.
Velvety.
Yes, velvety. No, yeah. I think the butteriness that you were talking about is spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like buttery, salted butter. Like, you get whipped cream sometimes, and the whipped cream, it's like, in the little bubbles, it's like yellow. That kind of whipped cream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like some fancy, not like, like fancy, like nice homemade whipped cream that's got that yellowness to it. And it's like a little bit salty.
Yeah, there is a difference when you get really good cream and really good butter.
It's really nice. I really enjoy it. It's very, very pleasant to drink at cask strength. So yeah, I guess it's cask strength, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For being cask strength, it's very, very just sippable.
we were talking about Houston and Houston distilleries. There's more Houston distilleries, and as the news authority of Texas whiskey.
I'm just the news gatherer. I just gather the news.
That's important, especially in the age of AI. We don't know what's real. We need a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're physically here. I can vouch for him being physically here.
I'm not
He's
AI.
corporeal.
And you've actually been, like you said, you wanted to know what's going on in Texas whiskey news. You wanted to know where the events were, and there was no real one place that you could go and find it. You had to go around to many different websites and Instagrams and Facebook posts and subscribe to the emails and the letters. So how do people get this kind of information? And just in the Houston area, how much is there to go see and look at?
In just the Houston area? Well, they have a big event coming up soon that is a lot of fun. It's called the Houston Whiskey Social.
Oh.
And it's put on by there's a Houston Whiskey Club out there, and then there's a gentleman who also does a podcast on whiskey that is kind of organizing that whole thing. But they've been doing that for several years now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We go every year.
When is it?
It is November 17th, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the day before my wife's birthday.
Well, if I don't get to go to China on that exact day, which is when the conference is, then we should go to that. Because I'm from Houston, and I've got family in Houston, so it's a lot easier for me to travel to Houston than to Dallas or something like that.
People need to prepare themselves before they go to that Whiskey Houston Social. It is very crowded. It was a very tight room. There are premium tickets, but those are probably all sold out at this point. And getting in, you're going to want to Uber in. You're going to want to Uber out. It's a little in the south side of Houston is where it's being held.
Yeah.
They do have occasions where they come out with a special bottle, a special pouring, but the number of tastings and producers in that one venue are incredible. And you're just not going to be able to try everything. And
Don't even try.
Yeah.
Don't even try to try.
You will die if you try to try everything.
Last year it was very tight and very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I know my wife, I took her there. Of course, I had to do it on her birthday last year. So I promised to take her out to dinner and to go stay at a nice hotel and things like that. So yeah, Uber in and Uber out. But it is a really big event, and I'm going to get his name wrong. And I keep saying Kevin Hart, but that's not the name.
It's not a wrestler.
Are you thinking of the actor Kevin Hart?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, that's the guy that's running.
Yeah, he did stuff with ESPN, and now he's doing a podcast on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The event is great. There's always, in Houston, they always have the week leading up to it. They always have some sort of special dinners, a pairing dinner here or there, or they have a special thing happening throughout Houston. They call it Houston Whiskey Week.
Okay.
So there's always lots of stuff going on the week leading up to that.
I didn't know there was any distillers in Houston. How many people are making whiskey in Houston?
You've got several. So you have Gulf Coast Distillers are the big one.
Mm-hmm. The people who bottled this.
The people who bottled this one, yeah. Mm-hmm. Gulf Coast Distillers. You've got Shire Distilling, which are just right around the corner from them.
Mm-hmm. Yellow Rose.
Yellow Rose.
Mm-hmm. They're doing some good
Shire
stuff.
Distilling.
Shire.
You ever been to the Hobbit Cafe in Houston?
Yeah.
Love that place.
You've had Shire before.
Oh, have I? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did I like it?
I think Jake brought it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
It's all
Shire
blur.
whiskey, yeah.
It's all blur. But the Hobbit Cafe is the first place I ever ate an avocado.
Really?
Avocados weren't back in the 80s, people didn't know about avocados. Mm-hmm. It was kind of exotic, It was the first place I ever sat down and have an avocado on a sandwich was at the Hobbit Cafe.
Interesting.
I think they're still there. That place is awesome. It's like an old school Houston place. That's why the Shire, that's just what
Yeah.
Yeah, so here in Austin, we've got a number of distilleries that are within spitting distance, and not just whiskey distilleries. There's a lot of vodka distilleries around here, so there's plenty of things to visit in
there's
Austin.
Obviously, yeah. We've got a lot of vodka distilleries. We've got a couple of them.
Yeah, we do.
Famous
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, so the Tito's,
Obviously.
Dripping Springs.
Yeah.
Good Night Loving is a newer one to the scene.
My challenge to y'all is to make me care about vodka. Bring someone in here who's going to make me care about vodka, because I do not care about vodka.
Yeah,
and I don't anticipate myself ever caring about vodka.
That's a struggle because vodka, trying to tell a story around vodka is often trying to tell a story around branding.
Right.
Because vodka, Absolute Vodka, for example, when that was developed, it was developed entirely without a distillery. It was developed as a brand and a concept at a marketing agency, and they ended up building everything else around it. So it's a strange thing, because often you're going to get a large producer like Gulf Coast or MGP in Indiana who are creating the initial vodka or ethanol, and they're shipping it to other places that are doing their own tweaks. We're using our own water. We're redistilling it. We're recutting it. We're rehashing it. We're doing the labeling and bottling here in this town. And a lot of times also it's a way of producing income while you're doing other things. So things like vodka and rum can often be something to keep the doors open while you're trying to age whiskeys or do something else.
While you're waiting for that to grow and age, There's a lot of distilleries in Houston, especially, that have started that way.
Okay.
Aerodrome Distilling, I think they started out making vodka and rum, and now they've got bourbon and rye and stuff coming out. And they're
That's
pretty
cool.
excited about those. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, because whiskey is just fundamentally, I feel like, is much more interesting than vodka. I just don't know what to.
I agree.
Taste-wise, production-wise, craft-wise.
Yeah, here in Austin, there's a distillery called Fierce Whiskers that throughout the COVID era, they were just producing and aging and holding onto their stock because they couldn't open up a tasting room. They just stuck to production only. And then after the COVID era was over, they were able to start releasing aged spirits. So they were just quietly knitting away and making product that eventually got released. So maybe we'll be talking to them soon as well.
They're great guys over there. Yeah.
The pairing of these two, by the way, the whiskey brings out woodiness in the tea, and the tea brings out almost this like aniseed quality in the whiskey.
Yeah, I get that.
It's not like a dynamite pairing. It's pretty good. They're both, I paired them for like more like conceptual reasons than like flavor reasons, but there's a little exchange going on there where you're getting this like old wood note, old house, old wood from the tea after when you pair it with the whiskey that wasn't there in the straight tea as much. And then I get this like aniseed. You ever go to an Indian restaurant and they give you the little sprinkles and the aniseed, or the fennel seeds in the end?
Yeah.
Cory's a fan. I see that.
Oh, I like doing
crunch those.
lamb chops with salt, pepper, powdered garlic, and fennel seed. Fennel seed on.
No.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a green tea and fennel party for you one of these days. Yeah. It's good for your birthday one of these days. We're gonna a surprise party.
The rest of
Surprise!
this
All the
episode,
green tea and fennel you can consume.
Just torture Cory. So some of the distilleries that you've visited, Caleb, which ones do you think are on the top tier, highly recommend?
Oh, I don't want to.
Play favorites. He's got to stay diplomatic here. He's a journalist.
So everyone has something unique that makes them worth visiting. Everyone has something that is kind of niche that makes them really enjoyable to visit. But I think if you're like just going, I'm going to go to Houston for a day, I'm going to go visit a couple distilleries, but I can only visit a few. Giant Distilling, like we said, is a great one to go visit because they have a lot of options. They've got some really good cocktails. Their tasting room is beautiful. It's gorgeous in there.
I can tell you if I'm going to one of these places, they better have food.
Yeah.
Because my wife she's not a drinker, and they better have good non-alcoholic drinks.
Your wife doesn't like whiskey?
She doesn't.
God
drink,
bless
she doesn't
her.
drink
God
at all.
bless her
Yeah.
that she goes to these places with you.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
It sometimes can be a little bit of a torture. Like I don't go to the gym with her.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should. Or whatever it is that her niche interest is that you don't care about.
I struggle at the gym. I really do.
That's what you bring the whiskey to the gym.
There you
bring
go.
a flask with you.
Yeah, I went to an event once that she was doing, and I brought a camera, and I just felt like a strange old man in the corner with a camera at the gym.
I think that's probably fair that you felt that way. I think that was the right way to feel. So, okay, Giant, great, sounds like a great family destination, but let's say I'm a whiskey geek, and I'm just on my own. I don't have my non-drinker wife to think about, it's just me and my bro, are going to find something kind of obscure, the little just the kind of small team tinkering away in their little distillery, living the American dream. Who's that? In Houston.
In Houston. I would recommend Fox and Seeker.
Hey, that's what
So
I'm talking
Fox
about.
and Seeker they're tiny little distillery. He mainly focuses on vodka and gin, but he makes a killer gin.
Okay.
But he does have a bourbon project that he's been working on for.
Yeah.
He's got a barrel of bourbon that he's distilled, and he does all of this by himself. So, it's his distillery, his thing. His branding is spot on. I love it. But he can talk your ear off about what he's doing and everything that he's infusing in his gins and everything. He's the nerd, just like me.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the nerdy obsessive person who is there just cooking up? So Fox and Seeker.
Yeah, very, very small. You probably have to make sure that
You make a reservation.
either reservation, call ahead, or make sure that they're open. But his tasting room is half the size of this room.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
I've rolled up at a few distilleries like that where it's just, you walk in and it's just one guy and nobody else is there. And it's we're closed right now, but would you like to see around the back?
Yeah.
And those have been some of the more memorable visits. It happened to me when I was up in New Hampshire. There was a small little distillery and everything was closed up. It happened over in going down to what's the name of the South Padre Island? There was a little
South Padre Island.
There's a moonshiner out there making corn whiskey. He was on the moonshiners, and and he pulls out this bottle. And the bottle that he pulls out, he said, yeah, I was on the show, and this is the thing. It was a pechuga. We talked about pechuga before, hanging an animal in the final distillation run. And he says, yeah, well, I'm not really certain about what they actually ended up, because the company that produced it and commercialized it and sent it out, put it on the shelf, it wasn't him making it. It was this other television show that was making it.
Oh.
So they ended up putting the label on. He says, I don't know who the biography is. That's my picture. The biography isn't me.
Wow.
Because I knew there was something wrong. I said, what's wrong? Did they proof it to the floor? He says, not only that. They put the meat in the first distillation run instead of the second distillation run, so it didn't get the flavor.
So I didn't catch all that fun stuff.
Didn't catch all the fun stuff in the end. So wrong bio. So yeah, sometimes you want to be on that game show type of thing. America's Got Talent for whiskey, to get your name out there, to show what a badass you are.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want it to.
Reality TV is fake as hell. Let me tell you, having been on one or two reality TV shows, I'm not going to say what, so don't go YouTubing it. But it is fake. It is scripted, and it is fake, and they expect you to act.
Right.
Yeah, they expect you to act. So it's bullshit. But
Can I be the bratty guy?
But
You can be the sullen, nerdy guy.
Yeah.
I'll be demure.
Demure. Yeah.
Yeah, but
demure.
so okay, cool. So what's the difference between moonshine and white dog?
Moonshine is, yeah, it can be a white dog, but I know a lot of times like they'll make moonshine with sugar.
Oh,
So to kind of boost how much alcohol they get out of their fermentation.
Right.
So
It's
So
a
it's
bit
getting
of a
into the
cheat.
Yeah.
rum territory there.
yeah.
Yep. And that's considered a distilled spirit specialty when you've got other products put in there. So that's it's an old moonshiner's secret to add that little bit of sugar, boost the fermentation, get the result that you want out of that final spirit. And a lot of times, a really good corn liquor can be really good and slick and fun to taste. But sometimes, if they're not using good equipment, or they're, even the struggle of doing it over an open fire can be a struggle, because trying to get the temperatures just right. Is the boiling of the alcohol has to be controlled in a certain way.
Very specific temperatures there, yeah.
Now there's a lot of art to it that when you're learning about it, you don't really learn the art of doing that. Now that's Moonshine University is where you're going to want to go if you're going to learn a little bit more about the distillation process, the different types of equipment.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, I've seen every time I've seen moonshine sold in a being like a consumer environment, I've seen them putting like Jolly Ranchers and stuff in it.
Yeah, so mostly what we're getting commercially now is going to be all of those, the creams, the moonshine creams, the
What's that?
moonshine. They're basically putting creams and flavors and all. So
Cream from a cow
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
in the liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sugar. Also, some people are really happy about their Kool-Aid recipe.
Yeah.
So they'll put Kool-Aid, straight up Kool-Aid, into their moonshine. So there's no rules whatsoever when it comes to moonshine, and it's turned into more of a Tennessee tourist type of destination, where everyone has their apple pie and their caramel cream and their,
Make their fun shots with their apple pie and whipped cream
banana.
moonshine. Yeah.
I got this one. We're calling it banana nut bread.
a shooter with it.
I
Yeah.
guess that I always thought of moonshine as being kind of this like macho thing, but
Yeah.
it sounds like not when you put it that way. When we're talking about like apple pie and like
That was my first
cream
experience.
stuff like that.
My first experience was going to Tennessee to Pigeon Forge and going into a moonshine place, and it's like, well, where's the moonshine? I want to see Granny's jug with the three X's on it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to try the family recipe.
Wait, how do they make it taste like apple pie?
It's all sugar and flavoring. Some of them
That's
are using.
gnarly as
Some of
hell.
them can be using natural ingredients. Most of them are using
Yeah.
things
someone will
like
throw apples
Kool-Aid
in
or
there.
yeah.
Yo.
So it all depends on the place.
I don't want to do that on the show.
No.
I don't want that in here. I'm not trying to do that over here.
You don't
Corey, I
want
got
apple
some
pie
of this for you.
moonshine on the show?
No apple pie moonshine. No.
So Caleb, where does everybody get your newsletter, your memo, your data, your Facebook, your Instagram?
Yeah.
How do we find you on
TikTok.
the internet?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok. I actually have a website, and I'm doing this all by myself, so it's not the best. But it's TexasWhiskeyGeek.com, and I keep a calendar of events. Anything that I figure that I can put on there that's not like a typical, hey, we're having open mic night every Thursday at our distillery. Anything a little bit more than that, I will put on that calendar. So, if you can go to the website right now, you'll see that I've got new releases coming out, when they're happening. I've got Houston Whiskey Social. There's the Whiskey Washback that's happening in Dallas. There's a whole bunch of events that are coming up. We're right in the middle of event time, so it's about to get busy. And then on Instagram, I try to, at least once a week, I'll do the Texas Whiskey News, I'll do a short little minute and a half bit about this is what's happening this week in Texas whiskey.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you
was
for doing that. So that we don't have to I don't have to devote my time and energy to knowing about what's going on. It's
Let me-
real though.
yeah.
It's real because when we're talking about an ecosystem that does consist of people who are just like a dude in their garage or whatever doing these things. There's centralization, and if you are just relying on what is broadcast out, you're just going to get big business. You're just going to get these big companies that can afford to pay marketing people. When I think, like myself, a lot of the enthusiasts in this community are really looking for these little obscure things, and it's just like a music blog or a food blog. Being able to go and collect all of this kind of obscure information, and you're helping the community because a lot of these producers don't have the time or energy or expertise to promote themselves, and being able to and for the consumer being able to find those people and find these things that are going on is really useful. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to highlight everybody. Anybody that's producing whiskey in Texas, like if they've got something going on, I'm more than happy to let everybody else know what's happening or put it on my website or feature them at the very least. At the very least, like Texas is a community and we're very proud of ourselves. And I want to make sure that we are promoting Texas in that process. And honestly, it's when you're hearing about the big guys, the big whiskey guys, the big names, I won't say what they are, but, there's a lot of hype around that. And I think that people are missing what's in their backyard if they're only hunting that stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
That's a big part of what we're trying to do here as well, is bring in the smaller guy, the people who don't have a whole lot of bandwidth and all of the amount of professional marketing that's available out there. It's a tough world. I'm watching a lot of brands, that are struggling and that are falling behind. And I'm seeing some reshuffling going on inside the liquor store on the shelves where these ones aren't moving. Let's get them out of the way so that we can bring some new stuff in.
Yeah.
And a lot of this can sometimes be like going to vote for your high school prom.
It's a popularity contest.
It's a popularity contest.
Right. Yeah, and then the thing is, the skill set of social media marketing and branding has nothing to do at all with the skill set of distilling and an aging whiskey. And someone could be a very talented distiller, producer, and a poor marketer, and someone else could be a middling producer of whiskey, but really good at branding and marketing. And the one that's going to succeed is not necessarily going to be the one that has the better product. And so I think it's really, and as the influencers and social media and those things really start to become the driving force behind consumer decision making, it's really important to make sure that people who don't have those resources and don't have those skills are getting their fair representation and aren't being just drowned out by a sea of people who are focusing on the branding and the marketing, and at the expense maybe of the product. So yeah.
That's the tough thing to balance. Even running a tasting room becomes another business, as if you're all day trying to make 9 to 5 product. Is your tasting room open while you're making the product?
Right.
That's going to interfere.
Right.
So your tasting room is probably more likely going to be open in the evening. Now the owner's there from 9 to 9.
Right. Yeah, and that's not sustainable.
And it's not sustainable in the long term. So then you have to hire somebody to manage that tasting room,
Right.
So
and your Instagram, you got to get one of those neon signs with the vines behind it.
And no one person is all things.
Instagrammable moment.
We'll never have one of those.
Just a green screen, and then we can put in mountains in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Cool. Well, thank you, Caleb, for this whiskey and telling us the story of Whitmire's. And we are happy to have all of you here back at West China Tea. things are moving and changing, and we will try to keep you updated. Follow West China Tea at
westchinatea.com, West China Tea on Instagram, West China Tea on TikTok, West China Tea on Facebook, etc. And then come physically to this space here while we still exist. Here, I'm looking at the camera now. While we still exist, we are in this location. We're going to be moving to 1715 East 7th Street, which is going to be a much better location for us. But for the meantime, and maybe for the next month, maybe 2 months, knock on wood, we're going to be here while TxDOT, lets us be here while we're getting our new space ready. So here, 4706 North I-35, make the trip. If you're in, New Mexico, make the trip. If you're in Oklahoma, make the trip, because we're going to be moving soon. You get to see this big space while we still got it, the classic, our iconic space before they turn it into the freeway. Yeah.
So cheers, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll try another whiskey.
This tea was fantastic, by the
Yes,
way.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing it.